said, let's get David Adams up here. Good afternoon. There he is. Can you see him?
Thank you.
Yeah. So first thing is, first baby born at DM, the new DM hospital. You got a photo out there?
Well, that was my mother's doing. She was able to pull it off for me to be the first, and it's always nice to win. And as you see, she arranged it so I could be the first winner in that situation.
So, okay, obviously you played Pop Warner or something like that, and then you go to play at Sunnyside. What, you were the All-City, All-State running back, 80 and 81.
Right. We've always had good teams at Sunnyside. We took a little time off there in the 90s, and then we picked it back up. But we've always had good teams and good athletes, and I was fortunate to play with linemen that really cared about you, and that's important. I always want to thank them because, you know, the ones that got their blocks, so that was important, and the ones that didn't gave me the opportunity to show my skills, so I appreciate the ones that missed their blocks as well.
And you played for two coaches there, Paul Petty and Terry Stewart.
Exactly. I've known Coach Seward since 1970. He was the PE teacher at my elementary school. Great influence in my life and a tremendous man, and I love them both. Coach Petty is in heaven right now listening to me talk, but Terry Seward is still a good friend, and we stay in communication constantly.
So the record at Sunnyside there was 22-3, and you also played North-South All-Star game.
Definitely. Matter of fact, we were 22-3, and that 3 is kind of a little deceiving because the other teams cheated. But besides that, the 22 games that we won, there's still players that are devastated by those defeats because we were very good, and having 50 points at halftime wasn't an issue for us. And that was out without running the score up. So don't think of the 3, just think about the 22.
Well, you know, I don't know what three games you lost, but the way you said it, I guess they cheated too.
Yeah, it was definitely, you know, they would call my touchdowns back, and it was a tough time. And to be honest with you, it's always nice to beat all your peers, so when you see them, it's a phenomenal thing that they don't want to talk sports when you're around because of the butt whoopers they took back in the day.
So now you get a scholarship to the U of A or other schools you thought about going to?
That's a funny story because coming out of high school, I had all this, that, and the other, and I'm getting all these letters constantly from all schools all across the country. But then once I fill out the questionnaire and I tell them, well, I'm 5'6", 170 pounds, they started saying, well, this could be a mistake. And so it came down to Weber State and the University of Arizona. Coach Smith called me 12:30 in the morning, signing day, and asked me if I wanted to play for the U of A. And I didn't know if the U of A wanted me, so I told Weber State, I'm coming to Weber State. But he called me at 12:30, and I said, well, can I bring my mom to the signing? He said, yeah, you can bring your mom. The signing was at 8. We left the house at about 6:30 because I knew Weber State was coming, and I didn't want to tell him, look, I changed my mind. I'm sorry. So we left really early. We got there in time, and it was a very, very beautiful day because anytime you can put a smile on your mother's face, it's fantastic.
Well, it worked out. You're a 3-year starter there in 1986. You led the Pac-10 in rushing.
Yes, that was a great year because I was coming off of the 85 season where even though I started every game, I wasn't 100%, and it was going back to well, he's really too small to do this type of scenario. So in 86, when we came back, the whole team came back, and this time we had offensive linemen that really loved me, and I was able to lead the Pac-10 in rushing. And now when I travel to all the Pac-10 schools, well, the old man look at me, I can tell him, yeah, you know.
Well, here's the thing. When I went back and looked at the 1986 U of A team, you lost 3 games, but you could have easily gone undefeated.
Well, those were 3 more cheaters that were involved in that situation. They always liked to call my touchdowns back, and that was one of the reasons why I didn't have the all-time rushing record, because they would call so much stuff back. But we had great teams during that time, and Larry Smith, who's also in heaven, was a great coach, and I really enjoyed playing for him. And I think we set a precedence during that time because I think we were undefeated against ASU, which is phenomenal, and then that set the streak going because I was there for 5 of the defeats against ASU, and I think we ended up at 7 or 8, so it was fantastic.
So then you get drafted by the Colts, and you also played some for the Cowboys and Rams.
Yeah, that wasn't it was beautiful and sad at the same time. I was projected to be drafted between the 4th and the 7th round, and I said, that sounds about right. I'm not the biggest guy in the world, so that sounds about right. So draft day, 4th round comes, 5th round comes, 6th round comes, 7th round comes, and I'm like, what the hell's going on here? This is what they told me. And so I'm walking home, I'm driving home, and I'm pissed off, and I'm upset, and I get to my house, and the phone rings, and I'm like, who in the hell is this calling me? I'm pissed off. And it was the Dallas Cowboys calling me. And they said, we know you didn't get drafted, but we want to sign you as a free agent. And I'm like, tears coming down my eyes because I'm upset. And I said, okay, I can go as a free agent to Dallas, and I hang the phone up. 5 minutes later, the coach called me and said, we're getting ready to draft you with our next pick. They didn't tell me that it was the last pick, but I was just happy to be drafted, and it worked out really well. And to follow a dream from 6 years old to 22, to stick with it that long, because most people change their goals so often, from firefighter, policeman, to construction worker, to just get a job, and to stick with it because I'd made a promise to my mother. I said, don't worry about anything because I'm going to be this big-time football player, and all your worries will be taken care of. And to stick with that is something that, probably the thing that I'm most proud of, that I was able to keep that promise to my mother.
And you also spent some time in the Canadian Football League.
Yeah, that was hell on wheels. The field is different, the game is different, it's cold as hell, and I'm coming from here. Then I was in Dallas, and that was warm. Indianapolis was a dome. It just quite wasn't for me, but, the checks cleared, so I said, okay, this will be fine. It was just a fabulous time. It was different, but I can say that I'm very happy.
Well, congratulations on getting the Hall of Fame.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Next up, George Arias. Where's George? Oh, yeah. How you doing?
Good, Pat. How you doing?
Okay, all right. So you go to Pueblo High School. You win in 1990. You win the only state championship in baseball they've ever had. Quite a year.
Yeah, it was. It was a fun year. We had a lot of guys who gelled together, and I think as any championship team does, is they all believe in each other and pick each other up, and it was really special. So it was. I was very fortunate to play in such a team that had that chemistry and that bond, and it was nice to win the championship.
So who's your coach that year?
It was John Holstrom.
And you had, so you I know you played third base and first base. What were you playing at Pueblo? What position?
Wherever they would put me. At Pueblo, I was a third baseman. Towards the end of my career is when I became a first baseman.
And you had a lot of home runs at Pueblo too.
I leaned on a few. I've always been tricking pitchers to think that I couldn't hit a fastball, and the tricks worked out.
So after Pueblo, you go to Pima College, and you get a school record, a home run, 17 is still there. In the Junior College World Series, you had like 3 grand slams in, 2 games?
Yeah, that was definitely a blessing. I'll remember this is when we were playing our first Grand Junction game in Colorado. We were warming up outside the stadium, and there was a game in front of us, and there was this guy by the name of Mike, I forget his last name, but anyhow, he comes up to the plate, and he hits his 3rd home run, and you can hear the announcer just screaming, saying, Mike hit his 3rd home run, and in my mind, I just remember, oh, what a great game he had. I said, it'd be nice to have something like that. So we go up and we play. My first at-bat, come up, bases loaded, hit a grand slam. Come up my second at-bat, bases loaded, hit another grand slam. Come up my 3rd at-bat, bases loaded, and I strike out. So, but just to have the opportunity to do that, and you got to give credit to the guys that were in front of me who got on base.
So now you're doing really good like that. You go to the U of A. When did you start thinking you could play professional baseball?
I've always believed, my dad passed away when I was about 11 years old, and I made a promise that I was going to get there. That was my passion, that was my drive, that I was going to play in the memory of him. So throughout my whole years, no matter what people said to me, said you couldn't do it, you're too small, or you can't hit with the wooden bat, I just used that as motivation and stuck to that dream.
So you hit a lot of home runs at the U of A too?
I did. I'd for some reason, I don't know how I keep hitting home runs. But yes, I did. And again, you know, when you have guys hitting behind you that are good, you know, pitchers are going to go after you. And I've definitely been blessed by having great hitters behind me.
So drafted by the Angels, and you went to the major leagues like in 3 years after signing.
Yeah, in the year of '95, after the season, I went to go play winter baseball. And I come home in January, went to the World Series in Puerto Rico. So I came into spring training fresh while everybody was just getting ready. And I had a phenomenal spring training where they had to give me that position. But I think it was because I had the opportunity to go and play and be ready coming into spring training.
So you make the team though, man. Then you also, how'd you get to the Padres?
Angels didn't want me anymore. I got, in the year of '97, I struggled with the Angels. I got traded for, it's one of my claim to fame is for Hall of Famer Ricky Henderson. One team didn't want me, but another team did. So I kind of looked at it in that way, and I was blessed and fortunate to go with the Padres.
And the Padres had really good teams back then.
They did. We had a good team, and as a matter of fact, we had great players. In the year of '98, we went to the World Series against the Yankees, and you know, fortunately, we came up short.
So after your career in the major leagues, you ended up going to Japan to play. So before you went over there, did you ever see the movie Mr. Baseball?
I did, and it's a lot like it. But again, you know, it was a blessing. You know, one team doesn't want you, but another team does. And playing in Japan, it's quite different. There's only 4 foreigners per team, and it's a lot of demand. But it was a total blessing because of the fact that I got to take my family, and they got to travel with me everywhere we went. You know, we jumped on a bullet train, got to our destination, and it was beautiful. And I wouldn't ever trade it, you know, for the world.
You know, I keep talking to you. You never talked about your home runs. You hit 38 home runs there one year.
Again, it's having the right people behind you. You know, that's one thing that I've always done is, you know, in all seasons, work on strength. You know, I wasn't a tall guy, but really worked on strength, and just for me being short to that ball, and it was just a gift that I've always, you know, been given.
Of course, now you're retired, and you have a Tucson Champs Baseball Academy, and I guess you're working over at High Corbett Field, and tell us a little about that.
Yeah, I started this last year. You know, anybody who plays sports at the highest level, it's a tough job. It's hard to get there. It takes a lot of hard work, and there's a lot of parents out there who believe their kids are going to make it, and you don't ever want to doubt that. But, you know, looking at my life, reflecting, I want these kids to really understand how important education is, that they're student athletes. And with that being said, with our program, we send home grade checks, progress reports. We teach life skills, core values, and that's something that I take pride in, you know, because I really want them to understand that it's going to take a lot of hard work if that's what they want to get to the big leagues. But in reality, I really want them to focus on school, and let's focus on trying to get a degree and go to college.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay.